There's two things that are in this lesson, okay? Two key things. Number one, I want you to skip 7.5 because we're going to come back to it. I want to talk for just a minute on 7.6. The whole purpose of a translator is to take the Greek to the original audience and then analyze it, convert it, and lift it up to English to a modern audience. So again, you have this, you have Greek to the original, and then you analyze this. Oh, I keep going back and forth between English and Greek. I'm sorry. And there we go. Okay, so you're analyzing it, and then you're translating it really. Okay, and then now you're going to take it back up because you need to convert to English into a modern audience. Boy, I can't spell in English. Greek's so much easier. Okay? And this is our task. So it isn't just this, just translate word for word, because you could have Google Docs do that for you. The whole thing Google Docs and get it back. But boy, have you ever done that? Oh, it's funny. It's like, that's not what I said. But, well, imagine Latin. Latin without context. What's it going to do? It's going to translate to the highest priority word. Well, that may not match the context of that sentence.
Well, it could be especially bad in Greek.
But or any language. I mean, think about my head illustration.
Yeah.
Put your hat on the toilet. Or worse, it says go to the head, go to the top. I don't think I want to do that. Go to the front. You need to go to the bathroom, go to the front. No, I don't think I'm going to do that. Oh no, go to the head. But in this case, head for Navy was bathroom. See, you can imagine what Google Docs would do with that, because they're going to translate it to the highest priority word, because it's the most likely word. You still have to interpret context. So we take the Greek to the original audience, we analyze it so that we understand it, then we translate it into English by converting it then to English to a modern audience. So this is the language, and this is the audience. This is the language, and this is the audience. And this is why you're taking the class, so that you can perform this function. Not just this function of converting it, but this function and this function. But first this. This is hermeneutics. That's the class we're teaching at the other end of the building. How to convert it. This class is here. I will tell you something. When you're done here in May, you will have the skill to translate. I promise. You stick with this, you'll be fine. You'll have the skill to translate. The conversion is sometimes nothing less than a gift. And there are people who are gifted, and there are people who are less gifted. I'll say it that way. You got guys like Warren Wiersbe and J.D. Phillips and Howard Hendricks, and some of these guys are just, it just flows out of them, and you think, man, that is just almost poetic. Well, that's a spiritual gift. I think it is. I think that there is skill in art, and you can have skill, and you can sharpen skill, but if you can't draw even with a good paint set. I got a funny story. I don't have time to tell it, but I will anyway. We were at Boy Scout camp, and I was the adult, and Nate Shermer, I think some of you probably know John and Linda Shermer. Nate Shermer was the scout, and we were chosen by the troop to go represent our troop in the archery, adult and scout. Well, we go up there, and of course we didn't bring anything but camp stuff. We go up there. Well, some of these guys drove in, and they're unzipping these cases, and they've got these recurved bows or compound bows, and Nate's like, well, we didn't bring a bow. No, we'll just use whatever they got over there. These guys are tuning in their sights, and Nate's like, I think we should just quit. And I said, look, I says, shoes do not win the race. Now, he placed next to last in the competition, so you know, I will give him the. He tried to do well, but the idea is that you can exceed, and no matter how good the tool is, it will not exceed the skill of the user. So you know, both of those are true. You can put an average computer in the hands of somebody who understands, and they get a lot out of it. You can put the best computer in the hands of somebody who doesn't understand what they're doing, and all they'll do an hour later is they're playing solitaire, you know, an incredibly fast computer.
Wouldn't those go hand in hand though? Because I feel like,
Mm-mm.
you
No.
know, kind of,
You will have the skill to translate, you'll have every word right,
yeah.
but the nuances of getting it into appropriate English. I'll give you an example. If we confess our sin, the word ὁμολογέω. You haven't had the word yet, but you've had logos and lego to speak. Homo meaning the same. So the word confess does not mean to tell God what you did. It means to agree with God, to say the same thing about sin God says about sin.
What's this?
1 John 1:9. Most famous verse there is in 1 John. So a confession of sin is not simply telling God what you did. First of all, he's omniscient. He already knew it. It's like, oh, you did what? You know, that doesn't happen. But then even our word confession, in fact, I don't even think the word confess is a good translation. You ready for my word? It takes a long time to come to this. In legal terms, do you know what an allocution is? That's actually a better word. An allocution is my admission of guilt.
And your explanation of why you did it.
Yeah. With contrition.
Mm-hmm.
See, think of all the concepts that are in an allocution compared to a confession. Yeah, I did it, and I do it again. Well, that's not a confession of sin. You're bragging, you know. That's not a confession. And yet we call that a confession. So the word ὁμολογέω can be translated confess. It's not the wrong word. I just don't think it's the best word.
So without the conversion or the being able to convert it, like I can see where it'd be beneficial to translate, but without that, then it's kind of.
You will get the sense, the direction, the feel, the smell. You'll get all of that in translation. You are down to the fine-honed stone when you're converting.
Oh, okay.
Got it? Yeah.
So it's not. You do get the big picture.
Yeah.
Even a little bit of the
yeah.
Yeah.
But until you know how you sharpen a knife,
Yeah.
you know?
See,
You get it sharp, but
your
can't
use
get
of
it
the fine-honed stone
Yeah.
speaks to me particularly because, well, I sharpen hand tools.
Yes.
Sharpen them sharp enough that you could do surgery with them.
Yes.
And there's a difference between sharp and scary sharp.
surgical sharp.
You better believe it, my knives at home are scary sharp. I mean, deadly. I don't know any other word. I am flat telling you.
They cut so well that there's no tool, there's no blood on the tool.
When you cut your
When I
finger,
split this open,
yes,
there was no blood on the
it almost
steel.
tickles.
Yeah.
It's so fine.
It's 5
it's like,
seconds later that it started pouring on the floor.
yes.
That's the difference.
Yep.
And it's funny how upset it makes someone who's watching you.
With a fine sharp knife.
Yeah, because you just kind of want to keep working it. Put
Yeah,
the
but
pressure on
you
it,
can
keep
hold it
working.
together and keep working. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like,
So I mean, you know, and I'm probably nitpicking this too much.
No.
but
I want to be able to
the-
answer this full question.
The hermeneutics of it, if you cannot pick apart exactly what it says, then are you wrong?
No. You're charged with rightly dividing the word. Okay?
Mhm.
Now, if I have a 5-year-old and I pose a moral dilemma to them, I expect them to respond morally at a 5-year level. I may later bring that same child at age 10, at age 15, at age 20, at each stage of their development and maturity, I will expect them to respond in a more complex and sophisticated manner. Still morally, I'm not ever gonna say, but what do we expect a 5-year-old to really do? I mean, to them it's simple, good or it's bad. But a 10-year-old, he's thinking, well, this is good and good for me, not so good for you. 15, 20, but by the time you get to 25, a lot of times you'll see people making decisions that are the opposite. They're self-sacrificing, which I wouldn't have expected of a 5-year-old. Because he would have that objectivity, the evaluation of someone or something else, that he would act self-sacrificing. And so you're held accountable to rightly divide where you are. And boy, am I glad God keeps track of it, because that's more complex than I can imagine.